I think Dan is trying to say that Mike Vrabel was a good coaching candidate after a very long.
I don't need you to translate for me. I know what I said.
But
That's exactly what I said.
I will agree, and I want the Chicago Bears to hire Mike Vrabel.
I was going to ask you
Caleb
guys,
Williams.
what's the perfect place for him to go?
I think it's too dysfunctional. I think the Bears are terrible, dysfunctional.
You can't just praise Mike Vrabel and say he can't handle that job. He will definitely handle the Chicago Bears, and he's the perfect person to handle that job.
Yeah, but look what happens in there. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this right now. Okay, right now. Who the hell's the owner of the Bears? Does anyone know? Who cares? Irrelevant.
It's the family, the George, or whatever.
Who cares?
Right?
Who cares?
Daughter.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, but then,
now I'm telling you, the first time he goes in there ripping cigs and tells that little bastard to get on the field and strap up correctly, there's going to come a point where
Coach, I'm painting my nails.
This is how. Well, I didn't want to go that far. I was trying to think of something in between, but unfortunately, they've done this culture of player empowerment, which I think is wrong. You have to respect the certain structures and the certain level and everything else to have success. When you have these player GMs and these player coaches like you see with LeBron and all that, they turn your franchise into a joke, like he has with the Lakers. Sorry to spoil that for you, but there's going to come a point if they're bumping heads, it's going to be the quarterback or the coach. You as an owner, who are you going to go with? More likely than not.
Hilberto would go with the quarterback.
The player. Exactly, the player. The player sells jerseys. The player gets sponsors, whatever. That's the problem right there where I'm saying as a person coming back, you have to pick the right situation. I think the Bears are terrible. I think the Jets are terrible. The way they're ran, that looks like that speaks of dysfunction on another level. You still don't know why he was fired, which, all you see is the rumors on X and everything else. The Giants, I think they're a dumpster fire, and I don't know if that's ownership or what it is. They at least know what it's like to win. But, you have to pick the right spot, or he'll be out in 3 years again for some random reason because he got into a fight with the GM or whatever.
Yeah, like you make a point there, but I think Mike Vrabel could definitely fix the Bears. Now, does he want to go there? Does he rather have a better situation? Then you're right, Dan. Like maybe the Bears won't be on top of your list, but for Chicago, he better be on the top of your list. So you better want him.
Yeah.
And then if you're trying to keep Brian Poles and Kevin Warren and the structure that you have here, and you're like, hey, I don't want to lose my authority to Mike Vrabel. Look what happened with Bill Belichick and the Falcons because Arthur Blank was saying. All his people below him are saying, I don't want to lose my say here. So if the Bears do that, then you're screwed. You lost Mike Vrabel. So I'm with you there. But I want to see him go there. And I think Albert Bree's been reporting that he's at top of their list, but they might screw it up
Friend
here.
of the show.
Friend of the show here. And then also too, like, one thing, another colleague that I'll highlight, Connor Orr wrote a good article on Darren Rizzi, the interim coach of the Saints, and I'm like, are we gonna consider this guy as a head coach? And he really broke down that this guy knows game management. He knows how to close games. I'm like, honestly, why the hell not? Because it's so hard to find coaches that know how to make coaching decisions in the fourth quarter. This guy's he's been a lifer as a special teams coach. Nobody gives those people a chance. He's like 4-1 or 3-1, and he knows how to make decisions. And he broke it down. Go read that article if you can against the Commanders. And I'm like, oh crap, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, the one that was the main takeaway. He said, Jake Haener, you suck, get out of here. And Spencer Rattler came back in right away. But Mike Vrabel has that. He knows how to coach. He knows how to manage. He knows how to be in different spots here. Hey, Arthur Smith, go do the job here and offensively. I'll handle the special teams, defense, everything. Like, you need a CEO. You need a hard ass. So you need somebody to tell Caleb Williams, hey, dude, you're doing too much. And if you rein it in, you play composure. I don't care that his scheme is a little old school and a little outdated. Go run the damn football. Be tough on both sides of the trenches. Have a good defense. And Caleb Williams, don't screw it up. And maybe in a couple of years, all right, now that you know the structure, you know the scheme, and we're good on both sides of the trenches, go do what go play the backyard football you wanted to do at USC. Now you could do it. Not right now. You can't do that. That's why you're struggling right now so bad. So I think you're spot on there. Mike Vrabel should be number one on coaching's list all around the league, because finding coaches that know how to coach in the fourth quarter or know how to manage is so hard to find. And I started thinking about it, and this will be my last point here. I think the league did this problem because they focus too much on specialists, too much on offensive gurus, too many on defensive-minded coaches, they don't focus on the guys who know how to do a little bit of everything. And then they lose their patience. Hey, you don't know how to manage in the fourth quarter? well, that wasn't part of my resume, owner. Well, too bad. You're out because you keep losing. So that's what happened to Matt Eberflus. That's what happens to a lot of coaches here. So enough with the
The Kansas City Chiefs, Dave Toom. Everybody's always talked about that. He would be a really good head. Like Mahomes has said stuff about him. Alex Smith, all these guys have said he should be a head coach, but he's a special teams guy, so nobody takes advantage
John
of him.
Harbaugh coached
John Harbaugh, exactly.
By the way, real quick before I go to Vic, if he wants to say anything on this, and then obviously his takeaway. Yeah. Did you see that supposedly, I think it was Ian or Pelissero, I can't remember which one on Rich Eisen's show, said that the Jags are thinking about keeping Trent Baalke and just firing Doug Peterson. I'm like, so we're going to do this shit again?
Yeah.
I've seen that story.
You saw what happened in San Francisco with Baalke and Harbaugh.
In Los Angeles.
Same thing
3 head coaches.
Yeah, like now you want it here again. Like, and then he's the one that hired Urban Meyer.
Yep.
So like, I don't know.
It's the whole Telesco situation.
Just keep surviving.
Yes, it's the same situation.
By the way, did you see how many times they showed him on what'd you play, Monday or Sunday or whatever?
Yeah, Monday.
Dude, I was like, this guy is aging by the frame, by how long he's on TV. My God. But again, like that's what I just don't get, right? And just to end it with this, I like that you guys are saying special team guys, because I think sometimes the problem, and I said this when Staley said he was going to be play calling, you can't have as a head coach, especially as the first-year head coach, you can't be a coordinator also, because then you're too invested in one side of the football. You got to see the big picture. You got to see everything. So that's why probably a special teamer would be even better, because, you know, special teams is a very important part of the game. A lot of games are won and lost on special teams, not only because of touchdowns, but because of field position and stuff like that. But, you know, that's why you sometimes it's better to hire those guys, because then they can see the whole picture. Now the big part there, you just got to hire a good coordinator who you trust and everything else.
And real quick, I don't know if you guys caught it. Speaking of being too invested, there really cares about special teams so much. There was some guy who missed a block on a kickoff return or a punt return. He freaking lit him up on the sideline. He was like chewing him out.
Who?
And then Darren Rizzi, he chewed up some guy's
the
special
coach for the Saints, the interim.
But then
coach.
It was like a flag, so it didn't even matter. They called the playback, and his assignment didn't really matter. But he was like, "You better not do it again." He just tore into him, which I kind of like, but also
I mean, a special teams coach, if you really wanted to, like, you could oversee everything. You don't have, like, they're not focused on special teams. They'll hire somebody.
You're on the field like 8 times a game.
There's too much ego with offense and defensive minded head. Like, I'll bet you right now, Ben Johnson will call plays.
Yeah, well, you got right into my point. Let me kind of segue into my point, but I also want to share these 2 comments here from Angel, because he says, "Love and hate the Chargers ownership. They really went all in on Harbaugh." And I'm with you guys with what you guys are saying, that if you're the Bears, you go all in on the coach here, who you guys were just talking about. I'm just blank on Vrabel. Yeah. And you clean house, like even with Brett Garner just says here, that's like the Dolphins keeping Chris Greer, another bad GM. And I go back to the Raiders too with Tom Telesco. Like, a lot of Raider fans are already saying, hey, we should keep Telesco because he had a really good draft. I really don't care with the fact that he, you know, was able to get Brock Bowers. That's awesome. Like, he really, you know, killed it with that pick. But at the same time, it's all about structure. And then that goes to my takeaway. And honestly, like, what Gilbert just talked about was a big part of why I went with this as my takeaway. And that is Joe Brady and Ben Johnson will be interesting head coaching hires. And I sat there and watched the Lions and the Bills, and I actually came away with 2 different takeaways from this game. And it had to do with Joe Brady and Ben Johnson. So on one end, it's like, as Gilbert, you know, pointed out, and Fernando just did, in terms of what you're hiring here with an offensive coordinator, right? And one of the guys that I always listen to is Rich Eisen, and Rich Eisen always talks about, like, hey, if you're gonna hire a coach, you need to do so. Like, if you have a young quarterback, you need to hire a young offensive guy, right? And I totally disagree with that, because as Gilbert just pointed out, in terms of what you want to see in that Connor Orr, honestly, you should go and read that, because he breaks down that exact point. Is, I looked at this game, and I like the fact that Joe Brady did a great job of being able to outcoach the Lions defensive coordinator, who just refused, even though he's lost 16 players to IR, he just refuses to get out of, he refused to get out of man coverage and play zone. And, Joe Brady just decided, hey, well, if you're going to be that stubborn and not change the way you play defense, I'm going to put a running back in Ty Johnson and put him, and put him out and be able to have him catch balls from Josh Allen. And so I was like, now Joe Brady has a quarterback in Josh Allen that can do everything for him. So I don't know what I'm going to get from Joe Brady. Now, if I'm the Bengals, if I decide to fire the coach with the Bengals, I'm going to go hire Joe Brady.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know how he's going to be in terms of being able to delegate things. Is he going to call plays? Like, that's one of the things that Gilbert has been talking about during the offseason. It's like, look, even Sean McVay has talked about the fact that sometimes him calling plays can be a deterrent to his team because he focuses too much on that rather than being the CEO. Now, I talked about like the whole thing with being a CEO and how that structure works. It works if you have a good offensive coordinator and a good defensive coordinator. We're seeing that with the Vikings. We're seeing that with the Chiefs, right? But at the same time, I look at someone like Ben Johnson, right? He's had a great offensive line. He's had the weapons. What happens if he goes to the Bears? Is he able to do that? Can he develop an offensive line to be able to do those things? And so that's where I'm always weary of hiring a hotshot coordinator. I don't know what I'm going to get from Joe Brady. I don't know what I'm going to get from Ben Johnson. Can he hire a good coach? And I'll end it with this. And this is part of the reason why I think, if we go back to the Raiders, they need to just clean house. Like Tom Brady, you made him a minority owner, right? So let him, he has a connection with Mike Vrabel. Why not go and hire him and let him choose what you want to do? Give him the same respect that Jim Harbaugh got with the Chargers and let him run things, right? So that would be my thing if I'm the Raiders. And so that was my way of.
After 1 year, you're out.
We've seen it before.
Oh, I didn't. No. Don't get me wrong.
It's not that I'm out. It's the fact that Tom Brady just became my minority owner, and it's already like just last week.
He's picking the quarterback too, by the way.
I was going to say.
Yeah, Mark Davis has already said he's gonna have a big say. Like, it's not about my feelings here or what I think is right. It's the fact that you are already saying, you have an owner who's already saying Tom Brady is going to be a big part of the decision making. We all know he has ties with Mike Vrabel. We already know, there's that situation. So why not? And then the only thing that bugged me about what Mark Davis said was that they're going to be separate from each other in what they do with Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. No, if you're going to let Tom Brady do his thing, then you need to clean house and start over again. And I get it. You've been doing this over and over and over, but this is what you do if you're letting Tom Brady make the decisions.
No, but I wasn't meaning your feelings or anything like that. I meant like if you're Mark Davis, year one, you've seen enough, you're ready to go. That's crazy. Yeah. Like, but you know what's funny is like when they announced he was going to be a minority owner, I had the same thought. There's no way he's going to wait around. Like if he's actually going to have say, there's no way he's waiting around for, like I can't.
Who are you? You're Tom Telesco?
I can't see him being there for,
he already said no to Tom once.
Oh yeah. Well,
in 2020.
Tom Brady.
What about coming to the Chargers?
Yeah.
Tom didn't want Brady didn't want to come to the Chargers, or Tom didn't want him.
Oh, Tom didn't want to come to the Chargers,
or Jason Light and Bruce Arians. It was kind of easy.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see this guy being there 11 years and getting extensions like I saw on the program that unfortunately I'm subscribed to. But and you bring up a good point. I think exactly. I mean, why not? I mean, I don't understand really. Like, I thought the whole hire to me was weird. Not only Telesco because he's in your division, but then AP just because, holding yourself hostage because of some players. Like, I thought that was, I didn't think it was going to go well, but I mean, that's going to be interesting to see if really after year one they just cut bait. Yeah.
And by the way, to your point, as you guys were talking about special teams guy, The guy they should have hired was Rick Bisaccia because he was a special teams guy.
Yeah, good point.
Now, he had a good feeling with the team. This whole thing with AP
was because they missed on Bisaccia.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That
live
was
like
their
that.
thing.
Regret.
They were counseled by their fears. And you know what's the other craziest part? I think Bisaccia took over the team with a losing record and then propelled them to the playoffs.
That was the Gruden email season.
Yep.
Oh well, R.I.P.
Yeah, they were 6-6 and then won 4 in a row and got into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, that's gonna be super interesting to see this offseason.